7075. After attaining effective translational lift during a normal takeoff, additional forward cyclic is required as the airspeed increases. Why is this action required? A. To counteract gyroscopic precession. B. To counteract the increase in lift which would result in the nose rising. C. To counteract the dissymmetry of lift which causes the helicopter to roll to the left. The correct answer is B. During a normal takeoff in a helicopter, as the airspeed increases, there is an increase in the lift generated by the rotor blades. This increased lift has a tendency to pitch the helicopter's nose up and potentially cause the aircraft to climb. To counteract this effect and maintain a desired flight path, the pilot needs to make adjustments with the cyclic control. By applying additional forward cyclic input, the pilot adjusts the pitch of the rotor blades in a way that counters the increase in lift. This adjustment helps to keep the helicopter in a relatively level attitude and prevents the nose from excessively rising as the airspeed increases. The additional forward cyclic input helps to balance the lift forces acting on the rotor system and the helicopter's overall attitude. It allows the pilot to maintain control over the aircraft's pitch and keep the nose at the desired angle throughout the takeoff. 7076. During a normal approach to a hover, the cyclic pitch control is used primarily to A. Maintain heading. B. Control rate of closure. C. Control angle of descent. The correct answer is B. During a normal approach to a hover, the rate of closure refers to the speed at which the helicopter is approaching the intended hover point or landing spot. The pilot needs to control this rate of closure to ensure a safe and controlled descent. The cyclic pitch control, which controls the pitch of the individual rotor blades as they rotate, is used by the pilot to make adjustments to the helicopter's attitude and control the rate of closure. By making cyclic inputs, the pilot can tilt the rotor disc forward or backward, which has an effect on the helicopter's forward or backward movement. To control the rate of closure, the pilot can make forward or aft cyclic inputs. By tilting the rotor disc slightly forward, the pilot can increase the helicopter's forward speed and decrease the rate of closure. Conversely, by tilting the rotor disc slightly backward, the pilot can decrease the forward speed and control the rate of closure to prevent excessive speed or overshooting the intended hover point. 7077. Which statement best describes the function of the controls during a powered approach to hover? A. Collective pitch primarily controls angle of descent. Cyclic pitch primarily controls ground speed. B. Cyclic pitch primarily controls angle of descent and ground speed. Collective pitch primarily controls rate of descent. C. Collective pitch primarily controls angle of descent. Rotor RPM primarily controls rate of descent. Cyclic pitch primarily controls ground speed. The correct answer is A. During a powered approach to hover, the pilot utilizes various controls to maintain control over the helicopter's descent and ground speed. The collective pitch control primarily controls the angle of descent. By adjusting the collective pitch, the pilot changes the pitch angle of all the rotor blades simultaneously. Increasing the collective pitch increases the angle of attack, resulting in an increase in lift generated by the rotor blades. This increased lift allows the pilot to control the angle of descent during the approach. If the pilot wants a steeper descent angle, they can increase the collective pitch, and if a shallower descent angle is desired, they can decrease the collective pitch. On the other hand, the cyclic pitch control primarily controls the ground speed. The cyclic control adjusts the pitch of the individual rotor blades as they rotate. By making cyclic inputs, the pilot can tilt the rotor disc forward or backward, which affects the helicopter's forward or backward movement. If the pilot wants to decrease the ground speed during the approach, they can make aft cyclic inputs to tilt the rotor disc backward, reducing the helicopter's forward speed. Conversely, if the pilot wants to increase the ground speed, they can make forward cyclic inputs to tilt the rotor disc forward, increasing the helicopter's forward speed. 7080. During a takeoff in a crosswind, which describes proper control technique. A. Pedals control both heading and direction of movement. B. Heading is maintained with cyclic. Direction of movement, ground path, or track, is maintained with pedals. C. Heading is maintained with pedals. Direction of movement, ground path, or track, is maintained with cyclic. The correct answer is C. During a takeoff in a crosswind, the wind is blowing across the helicopter's flight path, creating a drift force that affects the helicopter's heading and ground movement. Proper control technique is necessary to maintain both the desired heading and the intended direction of movement. The pedals control the heading of the helicopter. By using the anti-torque pedals, typically controlled by the pilot's feet, the pilot can adjust the pitch of the tail rotor blades. This adjustment changes the thrust produced by the tail rotor and helps counteract the torque effect produced by the main rotor, which tends to rotate the helicopter in the opposite direction. By using the pedals, the pilot can maintain the desired heading despite the crosswind, preventing the helicopter from yawing or turning away from the desired direction. On the other hand, the cyclic control primarily controls the helicopter's direction of movement or ground path. The cyclic control adjusts the pitch of the individual rotor blades as they rotate. By making cyclic inputs, the pilot can tilt the rotor disc in different directions, causing the helicopter to move laterally. During a crosswind takeoff, the pilot can use the cyclic control to compensate for the wind drift and maintain the intended direction of movement along the runway or desired ground track. 7071. To taxi on the surface in a safe, efficient manner, one should use the cyclic pitch to A. Control taxi speed. B. Maintain heading during crosswind conditions. C. Correct for drift during crosswind conditions. The correct answer is C. When taxiing a helicopter on the surface, especially in crosswind conditions where the wind is blowing across the aircraft's intended path, the cyclic pitch control is used to correct for drift. Drift refers to the sideways movement or deviation from the desired ground track due to the influence of crosswinds. To counteract this drift and maintain the intended ground track, the pilot can use the cyclic pitch control. By making lateral inputs with the cyclic control, the pilot can tilt the rotor disc slightly into the wind. This adjustment changes the angle of attack of the rotor blades and allows the helicopter to generate a lateral force component that counteracts the crosswind. The pilot can use these cyclic inputs to apply corrective forces and keep the helicopter aligned with the desired ground track. By actively adjusting the cyclic pitch control to correct for drift, the pilot can maintain a safe and efficient taxi on the surface, ensuring that the helicopter stays on the intended path despite the influence of crosswinds.